Alright, so in the last video we created our core HTML, our head tags and all that, our favicon, linked our style sheets, created the HTML for the navbar. Now we're going to add our base styles and we're going to style our navbar. So let's go to Style CSS and we're going to use some variables in this project. So on the root scope, I'm going to create some variables mostly for colors. And this makes it really easy if you wanted to switch up the color schemes. So let's add one called primary dash color, and I'm going to set this to a dark red. So basically, if we look at the project, this color here that you see, this button, this right here, this is going to be the primary color, and then this orange color that sports has, that this button has, is going to be the secondary, and then we're also going to have a light color and a dark color. Okay, so this will be the dark, and then the background here, this is going to be the light. So the red is going to be hexadecimal C72727. Okay, then we're going to do secondary dash color, and that's going to be hexadecimal F99500. Okay, let's do light color, and that's going to be F3 three times, and then dark color is going to be 333. All right, I'm also going to set the max width of the layout here. So let's say max width, and we'll do 1100 pixels. Okay, now the the categories like sports, entertainment, technology, these all, as you can see, have their own colors as well. Now these are going to have a class called category. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a scope of the class of category, and I'm going to put those variables in here. So let's do sports dash color, and sports color is actually going to be the same as the secondary color. So we'll put that in there, and then let's do ENT, so entertainment color, which is going to be like a purplish color, so it's going to be hexadecimal A66BBE. And then let's do tech for technology color, and we'll set that to 009CFF. Okay, so that gets our variables out of the way. We can now use those. So let's move on to our core styling. Now, as far as fonts, we're using the Lato font for the standard text, all the paragraphs and stuff. But for the headings, I'm using a font called Statliches. So we're going to get these from Google Fonts. So let's go to fonts.google.com, and let's see, let's search for LATO, so Lato. We're going to click the plus button, and we're also going to search for what is it? It's actually STAAT right here, Statliches, I don't know how to pronounce it, but we're going to add that as well. And then if we click on this down here, we're going to grab this link. This will include both fonts, and we're going to put that in our HTML. Let's put it right above our style.css. Okay, so now in our style sheet, I'm going to first add a reset. So we're going to say for everything we want to set the margin and padding to 0. Let's also set our box sizing to border box. Okay, and then in the body, we're going to add our font family. So our base font family is going to be Lato, and then we just want sans serif like that. Okay, and then let's see, for the line height, I'm going to make it kind of big. Let's do 1.5, and then the background is going to be our light color. So let's take our variable of light color. So if we save that, take a look, now you can see the background has changed, the font has changed. Now for the links, I want all links to have a base color of 333, and I want to remove the underline, so text decoration none. Okay, and then next we're going to, actually, you know what, let me just make this smaller. Next, I'm going to do the unordered lists. So for all unordered lists, I'm going to remove the bullet points. So list style none. And for any image, I want it to be 100% of its container, because by default, images will just stretch beyond their containers. But if we put a width of 100%, that will stop it. Or it'll make them bigger if their container is bigger like this is, but that we'll fix that in a few minutes. Now the headings, I actually want to have that other font. So let's do H1, H3, H4, H5, and H6. And let's set that font family. And we're going to set this to STAATLICHES. That's the font we want. And this is we're gonna say cursive here instead of sans serif. And then let's see, I'm gonna add a margin bottom to all of our headings of, let's do 0.55 rem. And then I'm gonna set a line height. I want to lessen the line height a little bit for headings, so I'm gonna do 1.3. Okay, so let's see, let's add our container utility class. So I'm going to put a comment, say utility, because we're going to be using the container in the nav, so we might as well get this out of the way. So container, we want to set a max width, and remember we set the variable up above for max width, so we're going to put that in. We want to margin auto, push it to the middle. Let's add padding on the left and right, so we'll do 2 rem left and right, and let's do overflow hidden so that it always shows the content within. And we'll save that. Now we can work on the navigation. So remember, it has an ID of main nav. So let's say main dash nav. For the navbar itself, we're going to have a white background. Okay, save that. That turns white. We're going to position it sticky because we want it to stick to the top. So we have to put a top value of 0. Okay, now I always want it to be on top, so I'm going to add a z-index of 2. And you'll see why later on. So let's save that. Not much change. Now we want the nav to be a grid. However, if we put display grid on the main nav itself, it's just going to put the container as the one grid item. So let's make the container the actual grid item. So, or I'm sorry, the grid container. So let's say main dash nav container, and let's set that to display grid. So what this will do is it'll make the logo, the social icons, and the UL here all grid items. So let's figure out how we want those laid out. So we'll use grid-template-columns, and for the first one, which is the logo, let's do 6 FR. Second, let's do 3 FR, and let's do 2 FR. So I'm going to save that, and it's going to align things like that. And then let's just add a padding of 1 rem here. And then let's align everything, align items to the center. Okay, so we'll save that so it aligns them all to the center vertically. So now the logo is way too big, so let's make that smaller. We'll say main nav dot logo. Let's set that width to 180. Okay, so that looks good. The links here, obviously we want these to go this way. So I'm actually going to use flex here. I don't want to use grid for just these list items. So let's add main nav UL. And let's align it first. So I want it to go all the way over to the end. So we can use justify self end, and that'll push it all the way over. So I want to display flex, and if I do that, automatically the links will go into a flex row. Okay, and then for the links themselves, for the A tags, let's do those. We'll say main nav ULLIA, and let's add padding. We'll do 0.75 rem. Okay, so that'll give them some padding, and let's make them bold as well. We'll say font weight bold. All right, and then for the current, remember the current we want to add a background to, so let's say main dash nav ULLIA dot current, and we're going to add a background, and we're going to use the primary color. And there we go. Let's also change the color to white. Okay. And then for the hover, I want to give it the light color. So let's just copy this and say hover, and let's do a background, and let's use the light color. All right, so now when I hover, you see that we get the light color. But we want to change the text. We want to make sure the text is dark. So let's do color, or we could use the dark color here. We could do that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the social icons are kind of squished together. I also want to change the color of those. So let's say main nav dot social. I want to justify self. I want to put them in the middle. So let's say justify dash self. Because remember, when we're aligning the actual item itself, we use self. If we're using the parent, we can use like justify content, align items, and so on. But we're going to say justify self center. Okay, and then for each icon, we want to change the color. So let's do main nav social and then the I, and change the color to a gray. We're going to do 777. All right, and then let's just add a margin right of 0.5 rem. Kind of spread them out a little bit. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. So in the next video, we're going to start to work on the showcase. We're going to add the background image, the overlay, use the grid to align the text, and I'll see you in the next video.